slijedi nam prezentacija, odnosno priča o platformi koja se zove Stage 32 ili Stage 32, koja vam jako može pomoći da se uključite u svjetsku produkciju filmova. To je najveća online platforma koja povezuje i educira filmske, televizijske i digitalne kreativce diljem svijeta. A ko će nam bolje reći više o tome nego naš gost koji, kao što sam rekla, uključuje nam se iz Amerike, Sam Sokolow is with us. Hi Sam, can you hear me? Can you see me? Can you whatever?
I can hear you. I can see the beautiful crowd.
Hold on, Sam.
Hello.
I'm having trouble hearing you. Can you talk? Just tell us what the weather is like. Where are you at?
It is warm and beautiful. Still early in the morning, so dark outside.
Oh, it's still dark outside.
Yeah. It's 6:50 a.m. here.
Oh my God.
No, that's all
We're
right.
having some audio issues, so we're gonna chit chat just to make sure that everybody hears you in the hall. Okay, so it's gonna take a few minutes.
No worries. Take your time.
Recording in progress.
Give us a couple of minutes, please, Sam, would you?
By all means.
Great.
I'm here.
But just
all good. Drinking coffee. Ready for you.
Oh, great. Just be careful what you're doing because people in the hall can see you.
I wish my life was that exciting.
Well, it only takes just, one time to do something.
I'm aware. No, I know. All good here.
You look amazingly fresh for someone who got up at 6 a.m.
I've been, I've been doing production my whole life. I'm used to early mornings.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I think that the audio is already much better than it was. We're going to wait for the problem to be solved, but I think that we can start with the conversation. As I said in the intro, we're going to be talking about Stage 32 as a top platform in terms of connecting people who are and want to get into production in general. So I'm going to start off with what is Stage 32 and how many members do you have worldwide?
Thank you so much. And again, it's really great to be able to join all of you. I wish I could be there in person, but it's lovely to see you all. Stage 32 is a platform that is dedicated to people who want to work in the entertainment industry. It's 13 years old. There are basically 3 pillars of the Stage 32 platform. One is the community, where people meet, talk, break out into lounges, have specific conversations, collaborate. It's a really supportive, wonderful community. Forbes magazine has called Stage 32 the LinkedIn for Hollywood and for people that want to work in entertainment. And it's a very positive community. It's actually policed to be a supportive, wonderful community. It's not a snarky place. It's our founder, Richard R.B. Botto, calls it the opposite of Twitter. It's a place where you can share your ideas and know that you're going to be supported. And again, meet like-minded people from around the world. Find your tribe and work on your craft. There's 1 million plus members, I think coming up on 1.1 million members around the world, about half in the United States, half in almost every developed country in the world, and growing. The second pillar is a development services side where writers and creators can actually interface with executives and agents and managers and get feedback on their work and occasionally get into deals and signed. So it's a wonderful place wherever you are in the world. You can connect with the types of people that you used to have to go to Hollywood or London or New York to meet with, and now you can actually connect with them on a regular basis here. And then the third pillar is the education side, which boasts the largest online education library for the entertainment industry, courses in almost every discipline and every aspect of the business, from producing through production, legal work, through how to deliver a show, taught by Emmy winners and Oscar winners and BAFTA winners, and it's really an impressive place to learn. And then another part of the education department is what I run, which is the certification department. Our certification program is still relatively new. It's less than a year old, and it is courses that will train you to work in the business in very specific disciplines that are applicable, right away to work on set. We currently have master certifications in production accounting, in line producing, script supervision, location management, and then the entire production team. Production assisting, that's an amazing course for people who want to break into the business, taught by Directors Guild of America First Assistant Directors. We have an assistant director track, production coordinator, again, line producing, production management for both films and television. And we're growing consistently, but if you want to learn the skills that you need to apply on set or during a production, we also have one in key legal documents. If you're looking to produce a short film or your first feature film or your fifth feature film, but need to make sure you're really up to speed on crew agreements and talent agreements and international co-production agreements and distribution agreements and finance agreements. Those are all taught by one of the best law firms in Beverly Hills in LA. They're lawyers. So it's a really terrific community, and it's a great place to learn. And we're really excited about the certification program because we're really putting people to work all over the world. The way that I see it, real quick, is that, as an analogy, for many, many years, if you think of pizza, for many, many years, the dough was like in one place. It was a big ball of dough, and it was in, Los Angeles, maybe London, New York, Vancouver, Atlanta, and now that dough is getting kneaded out all over the world. And production is happening all over the world, in emerging markets, in places like Croatia, that is obviously one of the great locations on earth, but your own local entertainment that can now be distributed and exported around the world. It's a really exciting time, I think, to be in production, and we want to give people the tools to be able to, be a vibrant part of their production community wherever they are. Certification courses are accessible. They're all online. And so, the whole goal is to get people trained and get people to work and give people the skills they need to work in film and television. And it's really, we'll talk more about it, but it's really going incredibly well.
Now, what I didn't say at the beginning, you're a film producer and television producer, two-time Emmy Award nominee. In terms of production community, what would you say, how important is that workforce development in terms of having people around you that really know what they're doing from day one?
I mean, I think that it's vital. I would almost go as far as to say everything. Production is about efficiency. Production is about a schedule and making that schedule and doing everything that you can to get the director's vision, get the studio's vision, get your vision, depending on the size and scope of the production, on screen. And that involves tremendous planning and tremendous efficiencies. And to achieve those, you need to have a crew that knows what they're doing. So if people are learning on the job, which traditionally a lot of that happened, it would slow things down just a little bit, and every little bit matters. So if you're making a gigantic Netflix show with a gazillion-dollar budget, or you're making a micro-budget independent film, surrounding the production with people that know what they're doing from day one, that literally includes from the production assistants that understand truly how to do this work, what the cadences are on radios, how to lock up a location, all the way through the production managers that are responsible for delivering the final book and making sure everything is buttoned up. It's really important to have a crew down to the person that knows what they're doing. And I think that knows what they're doing when they walk on set, not just knows what they're doing, when the production is done and say, oh, I learned on their dime. So, I think there's so much happening right now that knowing what to do is a huge part of it. And, technology evolves. I mean, here we are meeting from across the world. It's remarkable how technology evolves, and the bandwidth for distribution is limitless now. But production hasn't changed much in the last 100 years in terms of how things are planned and executed and delivered. And those roles they're just vital to getting things done. So one thing I'll add is when anybody passes a certification course with Stage 32, they're put into a global database that is accessible by film commissions and producers and studios anywhere in the world. So if you become a location manager, get certified in that, or production assistant or line producer, people in your community, in your local area can now find you, see that you're trained, and bring you in for a job interview. So I think it's a very powerful moment to get yourself trained or get people around you trained before you go into production, and then start building your career. And if you work in production or you've been around it, as I have my whole life, executing on set, executing in the moment is what gets you the next job and brings you up the ladder and gives you the career that you want. And all of these jobs, in my experience, are gateways to the next job and to the opportunities that you may be dreaming about if there are things beyond these particular careers. Meaning, script supervisors, I know so many script supervisors that have transitioned into being directors because they spend their career next to the camera. They know what the process is to get through a day of shooting and how directors have to set cameras, get shots done. Line producers and assistant directors, I know so many that have graduated to become producers because they know how to get production through its process. So, I think having training yourself, having training myself, I started as a production assistant. I worked as a PA for almost 5 years on anything from commercials to made-to-TV movies and independent films, and just learned what was going on before I was able to move up the ladder. But I know that being a key contributor every day and every minute on set is the key not only to helping the production be the best it can be, but it's the key to, I think, your own career advancing.
I have to ask now, why is it called Stage 32? What's with a 32?
Stage 32 is a reference to the stage where Orson Welles shot Citizen Kane.
Oh, okay.
It was Stage 32. So our founder, Richard R.B. Botto, he's a real visionary. He saw, I think, how the world was evolving, even with this certification program. This was a dream of his for 7 years. But he's also a cinephile and a fan of the game and someone who loves movies. The Office is covered with the coolest, references to different things, and this is a real nod to arguably the greatest movie ever made.
So all these years we've been focusing on Rosebud, and we should be focusing on Stage 32. So this is okay.
Well, that speaks exactly to the sort of dynamic between what you're seeing on screen and how it gets on screen.
Exactly, which is really, really great. I'm just gonna say to the audience that is in the room that you get to ask questions if you want, so don't be shy. We have Sam online here, and the guy woke up at 5:30 this morning or 4:15, depending on how much time he needs to get dressed and to be beautiful.
This doesn't just happen.
I know. You did not woke up like that. I know. So, Sam, where has Stage 32 certification been utilized to train crew?
Oh, it's that is the most remarkable thing for me is just how broad our reach has become already, and it's continuing to grow. We have trained crew in Uganda, Africa, in Costa Rica, in Poland, in the United States alone, in Hawaii, and in Georgia, and in Dallas and Oregon, in Florida. We're running a training program in Florida right now to make And we have a bunch of new programs we're going to be announcing shortly, as it's really the social proof is really showing the power of the program. And again, I'm a 30-year producer, so I come at this from just really knowing what I think a production needs and what individuals need to do these jobs on set, and the opportunity to help create career pathways and support local communities all over the world is a real legacy moment. It's really powerful. So for things to work well, I think in a production community, in today's marketplace, you need two things working simultaneously. You need a tax incentive and something that is going to support production, both bringing international co-production in, but also supporting local language filmmakers as they can now export product everywhere, which we'll get to in a sec. And you need a vibrant crew base, because the big productions, the Netflixes and the Apples and Disneys, they don't want to send production accountants. They don't want to send production assistants. Those are, expensive, and plane tickets and hotels and per diem. So it starts to chip away at the tax incentive. So if a community has a well-trained, really terrific crew, it makes the whole machine work better. It allows the big international partners to come in and maximize the location, maximize the tax incentive, use local crew, which is what every community should want, so that good jobs and people are there building not only their own lives, but the production community itself. And then there's people to work on the independent projects and the local television projects that really know what they're doing at a high level. So I think having a trained crew in a production community and a deep bench, as they say, I think one of the reasons that Atlanta here in the United States has become such a popular place to shoot is because they don't just have one great crew. They have 10, 15 great crews. The amount of people that know what they're doing is very deep. There are certain places that you can go and find one good crew, but you can't find a second or a third, and that becomes inhibitive to growing, I think, from the ground up, not just hoping that people come in from the top down. So I think it's vital, and again, it helps. What's amazing to me is look at South Korea as one example. A movie like Parasite, which is so authentic, it's so authentic to South Korean culture, but it is so universal in its themes that we all can relate to it. We all feel, the depth of the emotion in that story, and it becomes a global sensation and it wins Best Picture. That's where we are. Local language, authentic products, if I could call it that, content, movies, TV, can now travel the world if they have universal themes. And that happens when a production community is there to support its filmmakers, and is supported, because it's a place where people know they can come and work with great trained crew.
In terms of different countries, continents that you mentioned earlier, is there a different approach that you use for example, is it the same if you're gonna get a certification if you're from Uganda, which you mentioned, or if you're from Florida?
We absolutely can and have created some bespoke courses or some live Zoom labs with our instructors to get into some nuances. But, being a first assistant director is being a first assistant director anywhere in the world. It's a very similar job. As a producer, what I learned is that if I'm making a show for Disney or I'm making a show for Netflix, there are subtle differences in how they like things delivered. There are subtle differences in how they like cost reporting. But cost reporting is still cost reporting, and delivering is still delivering. So learning those subtle differences, studio to studio, is not as weighty as knowing how to do the job to begin with, and then understanding those subtle differences. And I think that's the right analogy. I think that being a first assistant director, being a production assistant, being a production manager, a location manager, those are core skills that are basically the same anywhere that you do production. How they are nuanced within a country or a region, we can absolutely add that training and express that, last, little dial one way or another on how certain countries like to do things. But the jobs are the jobs. Being a cinematographer is being a cinematographer. Being a director is being a director. The same with being an actor. And so I think below the line is the same. So this training is universal. We built it to be universal. These skill sets translate to doing this job in production anywhere in the world, and then we can tailor education anywhere that we need to get those subtle differences across, per region if needed.
So, and the final question, even though you partially already answered this one, I mean, it's always the most difficult thing is to go from 0 to 1. So the beginnings, to get inside. And how does your program help, especially people who are new in business? Network. It's always about networking. You're good. We can all assume that we're good at what we do, but if we do not know the right people to help us get somewhere, well, sometimes it really doesn't work.
Agreed. I mean, the analogy that I use to that specific point is you can get a law degree from Harvard, but if you're then just go sit at home and wait for the phone to ring,
exactly,
your life might not happen. So it's about getting the education, getting the training. In our case, like I said, when you get a certification from Stage 32, you are listed in this global database. You can be found by local productions and brought in for job interviews and actually get a foot in the door. But you also now have a new tool in your toolkit to let your community know that you've been trained, you've gotten certified in this discipline. You now have the production assistant certification. Put that on your resume. Put that on all your social media platforms. Send that resume into local production companies and let them know, I now have this certification. I know how to do this job. Or I was a production assistant on a couple of things that we've done. Now I have this certification as a production coordinator or as a line producer, and I want to go up the ladder. So I think that getting the training and having the ability and the skill set to walk into a production and do the job is critical and is a huge part of it, but you're exactly right. After that, it's getting the job. And we, I think, help advance that with our database and with giving local film commissions and producers access to who's trained in their area. That's a great advantage. But you also now have a really powerful tool in your toolkit. You have something great to put on your resume, put on your CV, put on all your social platforms, on your LinkedIn, and let the world know that, I'm now capable of doing this job. And you'd be amazed. I mean, production accounting alone, the data that we've gotten from film commissions around the world speaks to something like, in the last 5 years, 30 or 40% of the production accountants either retired or moved on to other areas when the pandemic hit and things really slowed down. And now there's so much more production around the world that's ever happened. There just are not enough production accountants to do the jobs. If you get certified as a production accountant and you let your local community know that you're certified as a production accountant, there's a high probability you're going to get called in to work on a movie or a TV show. If a smaller project, you might be the lead accountant. If it's a gigantic project, you might just get your foot in the door as a bookkeeper or a clerk. But these jobs are needed, and this training, I think they meet in the middle and create opportunity. But you do have to continue to put your foot forward and let the world know that you've got this capacity now.
Exactly. Never give up. And Sam, thank you very much. We have one question from the audience. Hold on, let me get the mic.
How many users from Croatia there are on Stage 32 and from ex-Yugoslavian countries?
Do you know that info?
I could look that up for you. I don't have that data at my fingertips right now, and I'm on this Zoom, so I apologize. But again,
Let's say roughly
we have
50,000.
members in every country around
Yeah.
the world. So I'm certain that we have a vibrant community in Croatia and in your region. I know that in Eastern Europe, as I said, we're training, not that these countries are next to each other too close, but we do have training programs we're running in Eastern Europe. We are building potentially a big program in Malta soon, which we hope to launch. You know, we're trying to spread not only our program around the world, but the community itself is already a vast global community. So I'll get that number and I'll share it with Mia, and you guys can then know how many in your community are members of Stage 32. But you should join. It's free. It takes 5 minutes to build a profile, very much like LinkedIn. Nobody can get in contact with you unless you give them permission and add them to your network. But it's a place where you can find a lot of like-minded creatives, not only in your area, but around the world. And I'll get that data and share it when we're done with this.
Great. Do we have more questions? Yes? No? Okay. We don't have any more questions, Sam, but you will have new members after this talk that you just gave. Thank you very much.
Sure. I will say one quick thing to those in the room. If you want to join and you want to even try our certification courses, if you email me directly at edu, the letters edu, at stage32.com, and just put 50% off in the subject line, I'll send you a coupon for 50% off any certification course you want to try.
So it's going to be extra
feel free to reach
free.
out and get in contact, and I'll get back to you with that, and then you can ask me any other questions that you want about anything.
Great. Sam, you've been great. Thank you so much for getting this early for us. Thank you. Please, one big round of applause for our special guest from the States, Sam Sokolow. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys so very much. It was a real pleasure.
Thank you. Bye.